First of all, appreciation. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Jerry, for your commitment to this work. And Abraham, thank you. There is great love for you.
That is clear to all of us, and we want you to feel appreciation for you as well. We are all in this together, and not one part of it is more important than the other. Jerry's not more important, Esther's not more important, Abraham's not more important, you're not more important. But together, what a wonderful combination. Without the question, there are no answers. Without the willingness to live life, there are no questions. And so we really, really are all in this together.
I have a good life. It's wonderful, especially being with you for 3 years. I've noticed my life improve because I've learned to do some of the things that you're talking about. What I'm trying to do now is get closer to who I am in meditation. I'm trying to get into the silence. I'm trying to stop the monkey mind. Help me stop my monkey mind.
Well, we don't want to stop your monkey mind. We just want to help you train your monkey mind. Because thoughts that are going with the flow are ultimately more satisfying than no thought. But think about what meditation is. Meditation is a releasing of thought, and in the releasing of that resistance, there's this natural turning and going with the flow. That's the advantage. So you are source energy before your birth into this physical body, which means you are one powerful stream of pure positive energy. And then when you are born into your monkey mind, so to speak, there is a natural separation. Too strong a word, really, but there is resistance introduced in the moment that your awareness is of this physical environment, because there's just more things to worry about. You're born to a mother that's worried about you already. You're born into an environment that's pushing against things. And so there is a slight discord in your vibration in the moment you were born. That's really why babies cry. Then, in that infancy, you go to sleep a lot. You become one vibration. You wake up, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go to sleep. So now you move through life, you're an adult, and you are sleeping, you are one vibration. You worry about something, a lot of discord in your vibration. You praise someone, no discord. You fear something, a lot of discord. You're angry at someone, discord. You are appreciating someone, you are in alignment. So in meditation, there is just the aligning of energy. And that is the way we teach meditation. It's the way to be awake and tune yourself into the frequency of non-resistance, into the frequency of alignment. What we always say about the subject of meditation is we would rather see you in appreciation. Because in appreciation, your mind is active and aligned. And that's a fuller use of the creative you than having a quieted mind, which is offering no resistance. But we would encourage, if your mind is scattered and it is taking you in opposition, then of course you'd want to quiet it. But if your mind is active and it is moving you in the direction of the call of source, then of course you're wanting to encourage that. And we can feel that what you're getting at here is that you are beginning to choose the direction of your thought, but there are many things active in you that law of attraction is acting on, so your thoughts might go this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. And that's what's making you tired. It's that constant struggle against. Esther finds that if she watches in her effort to be informed, some news broadcast or even some movie that's based on reality, she finds that monkey mind, it's just the activation from what she's watched is enough that it's calling her that way. And she says, no, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. And so in time, it is a matter of surrendering to who you really are and making more decisions that lean you in the direction of who you really are. Watching the gardening program if you want to, or a comedy that is more about things that feel good than things that feel bad. It is about wanting to direct my mind. And if I can't direct it, I'll quiet it in meditation. That's really the way we'd play that. I'm going to direct my mind, and if I can't direct it the way I want to, if I can't easily direct my mind into a really good feeling place, then I'll quiet it instead. That's the way we would use meditation. And those who say, I'm going to meditate for many hours in a day, I'm going to withdraw, are those that have decided not to direct their mind, really. You are a creator. You didn't come forth to be on pause. You are a creator. But pause is better than moving upstream. So how about this? I'm moving upstream, I pause, turn my boat, and then I focus on things that I want. That would be a good application of meditation. After a while, you get so tuned in that every time you quiet your mind, Source has a dialogue through you. You don't suppose that's some of the monkey mind you're talking about, do you?
Maybe.
Esther meditated for 9 months with us giving her dialogue. And she thought that it was her monkey mind. And so she just tried to breathe it away. Finally, she let us move her monkey nose.
First of all, Abraham, thank you for being with us today. I've encountered the information that my emotions are a guidance system within the past year, and I have only begun to try to work with it. I feel like asking if you have any suggestions for working with it well in a culture, in a socialization system, which neither recognizes nor supports this approach.
Yes. Ignore all of them.
Thank you.
Because if you try to explain to them, they don't get it. And you'll just find futility in trying to give someone information that they're not asking about. So watch for their readiness for it. But your question is a good one because it sort of twists and wraps around itself in this sense. So this culture that doesn't really understand the value of emotions, and because it doesn't, gives me more grief than if it understood. In other words, it might be easier if, when I'm in school as a little one, my teacher were to say, you are a wonderful being, and you will find your own way of doing things. And I, as your teacher, will adapt to you. It might be nice if your teacher had said to you, you are a worthy being, and you will have your own unique way. And I probably won't understand it, because it will be about who you were before you came forth, and what your intentions were, and it will be about how your life touches you, and the rockets of desires that you shoot off. So your life and your behavior will be about your points of vibrational relativity between who you are allowing yourself to be in this life and who you really are. And I, your teacher of you, this little one, will do everything in my power to remind you of your well-being, and I will guide you toward your connection at every turn possible. So that when you falter and think you might not make it, I will encourage you and tell you that I know you can. When you are afraid, I will remind you that there is not anything to be afraid of. And I, as your teacher, will do my best to restore your connection to who you really are. If you were surrounded by those kinds of teachers, you would not lose your way. If you were taught at an early age that you are supposed to feel good, and when you don't, it's guidance letting you know that something that you're focused upon has you disconnected to a certain degree from who you are. A teacher like that would say, listen to your heart and follow your own gut instincts and go with your natural flow. And don't worry so much about the rules, even the rules that I might put into place right here in this classroom, because there is this dominant guidance that comes forth from within you. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to hear? But does it matter that it took a while before you heard it? Does it really make any difference? Did life treat you so badly? We don't think so. And do you appreciate now knowing it more than you would? Yes, in the same sense that when you're hungry, food tastes better. And was any harm done? No. And can you at any point put your canoe in and turn in the direction of your flow? And aren't you exhilarated now that the teacher that you are can express that to those who surround you? Isn't it nice to know that life is supposed to be good and that no matter what, you are loved? So you don't want to feel blame or anger at those well-meaning people who just didn't know better. They were doing their best to prepare you for the harsh world that they lived in. And they had turned upstream and they were working very hard. And they knew to make it, when you flow against the current, life is hard. And so they were trying to prepare you for the same hard life that they were living. And your instincts were different from that. And so you didn't turn easily into the hardship. And so they took hold of you again and again and pointed you that way. Told you, it's tough. You got to be diligent. And in time, just from the sheer weight and number of them, you sort of gave in to that. But never joyously, and never feeling like it was right. Always sensing that there was something that was screwy in that. And now when you hear what it is that was screwy, you say, but of course, how could I have not known that? And we say, well, it's enough to know it now.
Thank you for your answer, and thank you for being the first entity that told me what my emotions were for.
You're welcome. This has been a remarkable gathering, really a leading edge meeting. And we can feel that together, without question, we have taken thought beyond that which it has been before. Be easy about all of this. That is the dominant thing that we were wanting to project to you here today. We're wanting you to be eager to get your boat in the water, and we're wanting you to be eager to just let it go in the direction that it will naturally go. Stop trying to prove your worthiness. You don't need to. You're worthy. And stop trying to work so hard for your successes, because in your believing that you must work hard, you're just setting yourself into resistance that is making it take longer. Relax more. Look for more reasons to appreciate yourself and others. That game of appreciation, or the book of positive aspects, is the most powerful game you will play. And we'll leave you with one new twist on that. Wherever you are on this emotional scale, whoever you are looking at, yourself or others, you can write a list of more positive aspects than you've been writing. So don't try to write the most positive aspects. Just try to write the best positive aspects that you can write about people and circumstances from right where you are. In other words, someone might be beating you up on a regular basis, and your positive aspect might be, at least he doesn't drip on my foot. Or, I'm getting really good at ducking. Or, I don't think he really wants to hit me. Mm-hmm. Or, I don't think he really wants to hit me. It's just what happens in his disempowerment. In other words, now, for someone who's really writing positive aspects, that's not a very positive aspect. But it's more positive than what you've been feeling, and it's a step in the right direction. And so, as you write on the front of your book of positive aspects, my book of positive aspects as best as I can make them from where I stand. As positive as they can be from where I am, and that's okay. There is great love here for you. And for now, we are complete.